listening some yeah morning we were just listening something on chanting. I just thought like anyway most of our are senior boys only regular people, so I thought maybe I can just share that. Otherwise, I guess, yeah. Okay. So morning we were hearing from Mahatma Prabhu. He just was speaking on chanting, how we should do our chanting nicely करके. He was just giving one small affirmation that uh, when I chant करके. So basically, of course, this can be applicable for all the activities that we do also along with the chanting. So just to focus on one activity that we are doing rather than just mind going here and there everywhere. So the first thing is this happens generally when we sit for chanting one or two rounds or one or two mantras. It goes, we may hear or we may try to hear, but after 10 mantras, 20 mantras, then suddenly our exams or our lot of other activities that we start keep remembering. Mm. So this can happen with even with other things also. Because last time generally Bhagavad Gita says like yantra rudhani maya, this whole material world is like a machine. Mm. The machine has a very great capability of going on doing things in a auto mode without any intellect. So similarly, our mind, our body also acts like a machine sometimes, and most of the time it has that tendency. The moment we start something and then we start doing things, and after some time our mind goes into the auto mode. So this can happen with the chanting, this can happen with the reading, this can happen with the studies also. Students also they study, they come to the college, but what is the goal for what they are studying, that is lost. We just have to study in the mode of mechanically and achieve something. This can happen with working professionals also. They are earning money in the mode of automatic mode, but they just lose track of why they are doing what they are doing. So to stop that, we need to again and again remind ourselves what we are doing, why we are doing, and then again bring that mind back to the focus. So specifically, Mahaprabhu was speaking on chanting. First thing is don't plan too many other things, or at least consciously uh, try to do only one thing, that which I myself am not practicing right now. I just locked down in Proji's class, but still came here to take my dinner. I'm sorry for that. I just planned two things at the same time, but generally that is not supposed to be done. At least we should be focused on what we are doing so that the other things don't distract us, because mind anyway goes here and there in a distracting mode, and we ourselves plan something to distract, then mind will anyway get distracted. So first of all, our planning should be, we should not uh, consciously do anything that which will distract us, and after that the mind anyway keeps on going, and then that we have to bring it back. So this can apply to the chanting, this can apply to your studies, this can apply to your career, this can apply to our what we are doing in our life also. Hare Krishna. I just thought this is one small point that we heard in the morning from Mahatma Prabhu for on focusing. Just remembered immediately for sharing. Hare Krishna. Nandra, thank you very much. Or
Jai Rasgopal Prabhu ki Jai. We got to hear so much wisdom from him. Otherwise, we don't get. So sometimes you just have to request him. Otherwise, in his humility, he will not speak only. Thank you, Rasgopal Prabhu. Very nice point. When I chant, I chant. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, you are able to hear me clearly? Volume is okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, sometimes in this world, when people want to achieve success, they want to do something in a very nice way, and they are not able to do it, then one of the reasons that they give is lack of facilities, lack of resources. If we are not able to earn good money, then we say, "Arey, oh, mera college acha nahi tha. If I would have been in a good college, then I would have definitely got good career." And sometimes if our health is not good, then we'll say, "अरे वो मेरा कैंटीन अच्छा नहीं है, नहीं तो मैं तो बहुत अच्छा हेल्थ रखता था." For everything we have a reason, is it not? And sometimes these reasons are true, sometimes these reasons are not true, but whatever it is, the end result of speaking like this is actually throughout our life we never ever learn the art of accepting responsibility. We never accept responsibility for what is happening in our life. It's very easy to say, my health is not good because the canteen is like this. My career is not like this because my college is like this. This is not like this because this is not like this. How many times we will say, actually the real reason why things are going is, I am not really focusing, I am not really trying hard, I am not really putting my heart into it. So what is the difference between great people and ordinary people? The difference between great people and ordinary people is not in the availability of resources. Whoever is successful, whoever is great, not that his whole life was filled up with resources. He went to the best school available on the planet. He went to the best college available on the planet. All the teachers of all the subjects in his college were the best teachers available on the planet. No. If you check out life stories, there's also another thing that separates us from being really very practical, is that we are caught up too much into philosophy and we don't want to read the lives of great souls. So when some principles exist in this world, what is humility, what is simplicity, what is honesty, what is pride, these principles or these qualities will never be understood properly unless you see them in the life of a person. What exactly is humility? Is humility to talk always in a low voice, or is humility to roar but always in a spirit of keeping oneself in the background? What is humility? What is honesty? Is honesty always speaking the truth no matter what, and in the name of being truthful, being hurtful? I come to the base and I see the cleanliness is not there. Yes, obviously we know that some student, some resident of the base has not done his or his duty, and that's why it is like this. So in the name of truthfulness, what we do is, कौन है इसके लिए जिम्मेदार? And then nobody is speaking anything. Then you find out what is the name, and then we put it on the group. Such and such devotee is in charge of the cleanliness of the base, but he neglected his duty, and today the base is unclean. And then 100 people come to know that such and such person, he did not do his duty. Is it necessary? Is it necessary that 100 people come to know that such and such devotee, whose duty it was to clean the base, did not do it? But if you don't speak it, it is not truthfulness. अरे हमको तो सब अच्छे क्वालिटीज चाहिए ना प्रभु जी. ऑनेस्टी तो आपने बोला था, ऑनेस्टी होना चाहिए. So what exactly is honesty? Honesty is not to speak the truth in such a way that it disturbs the atmosphere or it harms the person. Honesty is to speak the truth in such a way that it always uplifts the person. The atmosphere should become purified. The atmosphere should not become dirty. So that's why I mentioned what is humility, what is truthfulness, what is honesty. All these qualities we will keep reading in books, and without understanding them in reality, we will have our own ideas. That is why it's very important to understand in the association of great souls. And how do we understand in the association of great souls? If we are fortunate to have the association of somebody who is pure, we can take that person's association, or we should read about the lives. We should read the biographies of people. You cannot imagine how much wisdom there is in the biographies of great souls. When we read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, you cannot imagine what kind of wisdom is there in Prabhupada Lilamrit. So sometimes when some devotees are asking me doubts, then I ask them, have you read the Bhagavatam? And then they say, yes, we have read the Bhagavatam. And then I ask them, have you read the 13th canto of the Bhagavatam? And sometimes if devotees are knowledgeable, then they give me a strange look. And they say, Prabhuji, Bhagavatam to keval 12 cantos hai na? To 13th canto kahan se aaya? Then I tell them, Prabhupada Lilamrit is 13th canto of the Bhagavatam. So when we read Dhruv Maharaj's story, we understand what is determination. When we read Prahlad Maharaj's story, then we understand what is this deep conviction in the protection of the Lord. Every avatar comes with a certain mood. So Lord Ramchandra, he appeared with the mood of always setting a very high standard. Maryada Purushottam. What is the mood of Lord Krishna? Lord Krishna is Prem Parayan. If anybody loves Krishna, sometimes Krishna will even break the rules that he has himself made. For instance, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he took a vow. He said, I will not lift a weapon. But when Bhishma threatened Arjun, at one point of time, Krishna got down from the chariot. He picked up the wheel of a chariot, a broken chariot, and went straight at Bhishma. And Arjun is saying, "Arey, don't do this because you took a vow." And people will say, "सब लोगों को गीता सुनाते हैं, सब लोगों को बहुत बड़े-बड़े बातें करते हैं, और खुद ही अपने वचनों का पालन नहीं करते हैं." And Krishna said, "You don't worry about that, because what is more important for me is not to become famous, not to have a reputation as a person who follows his words, but I want to be famous as Achyut." Achyut means he who never fails in protecting his devotee. So I want to be famous as जो भी हो जाए, तारे गिर जाए, सूरज उगे ही ना, और सागर भी ड्राई हो जाए, but Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Please declare it boldly to the whole world that my devotee will never perish. So Lord Krishna comes in particular mood, Lord Ramchandra comes in particular mood. What mood does Lord Narasimha come in? This is a question for all of you. Narasimha Dev kaun se mood mein aate?
In the mode of anger.
Okay, very nice answer by Gautam. What else? Yes, Pranay. आवाज नहीं है आपका, आवाज नहीं आ रहा है. और किसी के फोन से कर सकते हैं ना, प्रणीत दिख रहा है लॉगिन किया हुआ, हेमंत भी दिख रहा है, सौरभ भी दिख रहा है।
हरे कृष्ण
क्या?
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतम्.
Yeah. So this is also a good answer, that he comes to save his devotees and he comes to destroy. Yes, our Swaroop.
Prabhuji, to make word of his devotee true.
Yeah, very nice. This is straight from the Bhagavatam. One of the shlokas, it is mentioned by Shukdev Goswami. Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmana. So it is mentioned, Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam. His servant said, when Hiranyakashipu asked, is God here in the pillar? He said, yes. So to make the words of his devotee true appears. Now, the mood in which Lord Narasimha comes is definitely Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Definitely he has a lot of anger, and definitely he has come to prove the words of his devotee true. So in all this, everything is true. But what is the most prominent? Think about it. What is the most prominent? Is anger the most prominent? Is Satyam Vidhatum the most prominent? Or is Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam the most prominent?
The love for his devotee.
Yes. So actually, the Supreme Lord, even that Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam, that Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam is killing of Hiranyakashipu. But Hiranyakashipu, क्या उसी समय राक्षस हो गया था क्या? Hiranyakashipu has been doing nonsense for years and years. He has terrorized the whole universe. He has kept servants as the devatas. सारे देवताओं को अपने सेवा में लगाया था, जूते साफ करने के लिए रखा था. So Vinashaya cha dushkritam could have happened years and years back. But till that time, his devotee was not troubled. So till the time, the pure devotee Prahlad was not troubled. And till the time the pure devotee was not put into a life threat, Lord Narasimha said, थोड़ा बहुत purification हो जाएगा देवताओं को अभी. Sometimes the devatas also become proud, ना? हम लोग हमारे पोजीशन पे, तो नरसिंह देव ने बोला थोड़ा इनकी भी चंपी होने दो. थोड़ा सा अगर किसी ने प्राइड कम किया तो कुछ बड़ा पहाड़ नहीं टूट रहा है. So anger is very prominent. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam is very prominent. But the most important thing about Lord Narasimha Dev is vatsalya. His mood of protecting his devotee. जैसे ही उसके डिवोटी को तकलीफ दिया तो वो खम्बे में से आ गए. He did not come on Garuda. Usually he comes on Garuda, but he straight away came from the pillar. So the point that we are making is that when we read the lives of great souls, then we understand that what is the meaning of humility, what is the meaning of protection, what is the meaning of conviction, what is the meaning of deep remembrance of the Lord, that will come to know only from Prahlad. So why is it important to read the lives of great souls? Because first advantage is that we will come to know very deep qualities in action and in practical day-to-day life. Otherwise, we'll keep assuming we are great souls, but we may not have a deep understanding. Another thing that we can learn is which principle to apply where. We may apply the principle of honesty at the wrong place, and we may apply the principle of dishonesty at the wrong place. And in this way, even though we may follow the rules, but we may end up creating a big chaos for our life. So that's why it's very important. So I'll tell you something now. Srila Rupa Goswami, in one of his expressions of his heart, when he meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's glorifying the holy name. And what is he saying? He says, Tunde tandavinimratim vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna kroda kadambini vijayate karnarbudebhya spriham. Srila Rupa Goswami is saying, actually, when I chant the holy names, Chetah prangana sangini vijayate karnarbudhe sarvendriyanam kritim na jane janita kiyad bhiramritai Krishna varneti dvaya. It says Krishna, the two varnas, the two syllables, Krishna, these two sounds. I don't know how much nectar is there in this. Why? Because whenever I chant these holy names, it conquers in the playground of my heart. In the playground of my heart, there is victory of the holy name. These two sounds, Krishna. And he says, there is so much nectar here. Actually, I want millions of tongues. And I want crores of ears. So with every, oh, how unfortunate am I? I have just only one tongue and 2 ears. So usse limited amrit paida hota hai. If I had millions of tongues and I would have crores of ears, then I would have heard it all. Now, when we hear this, we will think, Prabhuji, yes, actually, sometimes I feel that I may also, have this kind of a feeling. But we don't have more than one tongue and we don't have more than 2 ears. Do you know anybody who had more than one tongue and who had more than 2 ears? A single person, a human being, a single human being who had more than one tongue and who had more than 2 ears. Okay, all of you know about him, but you are not stretching your intelligence. You have just put yourself in the silent mode. Yes, Pranay.
Brahmaji.
Okay, very nice. Umesh. उमेश ने हैंड रेज किया है. Okay, ठीक है. So Brahmaji is one person. Very nice answer by Pranay. And does Brahmaji chant the holy names? He chants. He may not chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but he chants Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vrateshu Surabhi Rabhipalayantam. So Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Darshanarti, the Govindamadi Purusham prayers, they are sung by Lord Brahma. He is glorifying with 4 tongues. Okay, now I'll ask you, do you know anybody, any human being who has more than 4 tongues? Very nice answer that Brahma has 4 tongues and 8 ears. Do you know anybody who has more than 4 tongues and more than 8 ears? Think about it. You know him. Yes, Swaroop.
Ravan.
Yes, perfect. Saurabh, yes, unmute and speak.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Ravan only.
Perfect. So just see how Rupa Goswami, he has only 1 tongue and 2 ears, but what is his mood? His mood is, hey Bhagwan, how unfortunate am I? And what is the mood of Ravan? He has 10 tongues. He has 20 ears. 10 गुना ज्यादा फैसिलिटी है रूप गोस्वामी के पास जितना फैसिलिटी है उससे 10 गुना फैसिलिटी रावण के पास है. But if you look at Ravan never ever did what Rup Goswami did every moment. Rup Goswami is constantly glorifying the Supreme Lord. He won't glorify the Supreme Lord. And not only he does not have the intelligence, he also has arrogance. Why? Whenever somebody told him, "Arey, you are doing wrong." When some wedding has taken place, शादी हो गई है किसी की, after that you should not even look at a woman, what to speak of touching her, what to speak of trying to trap her, and what to speak of actually catching her and abducting her and bringing her and threatening her that why don't you submit to me, why don't you agree to enjoy with me. This is wrong. His own wife is telling him, Vibhishan is telling him, And what is the price for that? Vibhishan is kicked out of Lanka. So just see, if our advancement was dependent on facilities, if our spiritual advancement was dependent on our resources, then Ravan had 10 times the resources of Rupa Goswami. Ravan had 10 times the facilities of Rupa Goswami. So the question is spiritual advancement dependent on facilities? Is spiritual advancement dependent on resources? Somebody who has 1,000 rupees and he can purchase so many books, does it mean that just because he has money or he has books in his library, he's going to advance? No, it is not like that. Why? Just by having books, we don't advance. If we don't read those books, we are not going to advance. You may have a japamala made up of tulsi, and everyone else is chanting on a japmala that is made up of neem. But just by having a tulsi mala does not mean that your chanting is going to be better. Why? Finally, it is dependent on your consciousness. Finally, it is dependent on your own internal thirst. So, another example, Narad Muni, in the 4th canto, he's speaking to the Prachetas and he gives a very nice example. He says, just like a tree need not be watered at the leaves, at the branches, fruits, flowers, but where will you water the leaf? Will you water the tree? He says it has to be watered at the roots. So he gives an example. Yatha tarora mula nishechanena. If you water the root of the tree, then every part of the tree gets nourished. Now, there is a similar verse that is spoken by Hiranyakashipu. And when Hiranyakashipu is telling his demons, he's instructing them. So what is that shloka? He says, Tasmin kute ahite nashte kritta mule vanaspatau vitapa iva shushanti Vishnu prana divaukasa. Hiranyakashipu says, this Vishnu, this Vishnu is like the root of the tree of the universe. So you go and you destroy the universe. You go and burn the Vedic culture. You go and kill the cows. And wherever you see the Brahmanas, if they're doing any yagya, then kill those Brahmanas. तो आप क्या करो, ये जो वृक्ष है, इस वृक्ष को सुखा दो. लेकिन मैं तुमको और एक बात बोलता हूं, unless the root of a tree is dried up, the tree does not get dried up. So I'll tell you something now. The secret is Vishnu is the root of all this existence. This existence comes from Vishnu. So I am not going to work on drying up the tree. I am going on cutting the roots of the tree. I am going to kill Vishnu. So see, Narad Muni also knows that the root of the entire world is Vishnu, and he says that's why we should satisfy Vishnu. And just by satisfying Vishnu, just by satisfying the Supreme Lord, through Vishnu, through the Supreme Lord, who is seated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, actually we will satisfy everyone. Actually we'll become friendly towards everyone. Actually we'll be appreciated as a gentleman. Even though we may not have those kind of relationships and dealings with everyone. And Hiranyakashipu also has similar knowledge. But Hiranyakashipu has a different take. Hiranyakashipu says, I want to cut this tree by cutting the roots of the tree. It means knowledge itself does not change us. But how we read that knowledge, how we understand that knowledge is actually what will affect us. So that's why in one place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is speaking to Srila Sanatana Goswami, he says, the materialistic people of this world, they decorate themselves with gold. A woman in this world will decorate herself with gold. Sometimes there are these pictures of celebrities having big gold chains or big gold rings in their fingers. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what are the ornaments of a Vaishnava? The ornaments of a Vaishnava, he says, are his good qualities. The Vaishnava does not decorate himself with gold. The Vaishnava does not decorate himself even with tulsi. Sometimes some people wear a very, very decorative kind of a tulsi kanthimala. This big huge beads are there, and sometimes some carving is done, and we want to look beautiful. So bahar ki duniya mein सुंदर दिखने के लिए सोना यूज होता है, चांदी यूज होती है, तो वैसे वैष्णवों के बीच में सुंदर दिखने के लिए we feel we can wear tulsi. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying actually the real beauty of a Vaishnava is his or her good qualities. So just by having knowledge, Ravan did not become eager to chant the holy names. Just by having knowledge, Hiranyakashipu did not become eager to water the root of the tree. In fact, he became eager to cut the root of the tree. So, how will we get good consciousness? We may get a lot of knowledge from the books, but where is good consciousness available? This is a big question. So, although the Rakshasas also are aware who is the controller, who is the source, they don't have good consciousness. It means the method to transform the consciousness is not knowledge. The method to transform the consciousness is association of proper people. When we have satsang, when we have proper association, then only it is possible to understand knowledge, and then only it is possible to apply that knowledge in our day-to-day life. Otherwise, we will be headed for a big struggle. And just by reading the Gita, we won't understand anything. Just by reading the Bhagavatam, just by reading the Ramayana, just by reading the Mahabharata, actually many times, it will be misinterpreted. So that's why to understand things in a proper perspective, we just don't need a tongue and ears. We also need the good consciousness of Srila Rupa Goswami. And we also don't just need the knowledge, but we also need the proper understanding that the roots of a tree should be watered. So we will see some examples of how, even though people were coming from good families, but still it did not create a change in them. So this is a story from the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. And the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam mentions that there was a great king called Chitraketu Maharaj. And this Chitraketu Maharaj was very fortunate. He was a great ruler. He was brave. He was successful. Everyone in his kingdom was very happy. And they used to really love and look up to him. But there was one pain in Chitraketu Maharaj's life. What is that? He had married many females from royal families. But unfortunately, because of something in his past karma, he could not get a child. No children. So he married another female from a royal family. No child. He married another. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes he actually married 1 crore wives. It's very interesting. Chitraketu Maharaj is marrying 1 crore wives, but he is not able to understand 1 wife, 2 wives, 3 wives, 10 wives, 100 wives, 1000 wives. If I am not getting a child, I just have to accept it as my destiny. But he just kept on thinking that no, this wife will give me a child. This wife will give me a child. And in this way, one day, Narad Muni visits his palace. Along with Narad Muni is Angira Muni. And both of them ask, oh, everything looks very nice in your kingdom, but why are you looking so sad? And then he says, I don't have a child. So Angira Muni says, okay, I bless you that you will have a child. And the name of that child will be Harsha Shok. Harsha in Sanskrit language means happiness. And Shoka means lamentation. Vilap. So when this name was spoken, actually Chitraketu Maharaj was so happy hearing that he will have a child that he did not hear the second sentence that the child's name will be Harsha Shok. And actually the chief queen, her name was Krita Dyuti. And this Krita Dyuti very soon conceived and she gave a child, and that child became the center of attraction of everyone because so many years there was no child. And then, as it is natural, the queen who gave birth to the child slowly became the most famous queen of the king. So the king started spending more time in her palace, and slowly over a period of time, he lost his affection for other queens. And then what happens when such a situation happens? This is called favoritism. or this is called nepotism. So favoritism or nepotism means actually you are supposed to be equal to everyone, but unfortunately you give more importance to one person out of a group, and that person feels very nice. But what about the others? The other feels हम लोग क्या कुछ कम है क्या? हमको कभी कुछ बात भी नहीं करते हैं, ऐसा क्यों करते हैं? And in this way, what happened is, one day all these other queens, they conspired together, and they said, Vidvesha nashta mataya striyo daruna chetasah garam dadu kumaraya durmarsham nripatim prati. So it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidvesha nashta mataya. Dvesha means envy, and Vidvesha means Vishesh Dvesha, concentrated Dvesha. So these queens, they became heavily intoxicated, heavily affected by envy. Nashta mataya. और इनकी मति, इनका इंटेलिजेंस नष्ट हो गया. So they lost their intelligence about what is right and what is wrong, being affected by deep concentrated envy. And what did they do? They decided to poison the child. So think about it. Actually, the happiness of the queen, the happiness of the wife is in the happiness of the husband. But the happiness of the husband is here. The husband is really very happy. He has been trying for a child for so many years and he did not get a child, and now he has got a child, and actually the husband is very happy. But envy destroys our intelligence. And because envy destroys our intelligence, we don't understand what should we do. And actually these queens came together and they gave poison to this child. Next day, in the cradle, palna hota hai na? So in that palna, this child is there. The mother Kritadyuti comes there and looks at the child. The eyes of the child have gone up and she thinks maybe he's not well or something. In 2 minutes, she realizes the child is dead. She drops dead on the floor and she starts beating her chest. Oh, I lost my child. I lost my child. This news goes to Chitraketu Maharaj. Chitraketu Maharaj is walking from his palace to Kritadyuti's palace. It is mentioned he will walk 2 steps. He will fall down. He's so much in pain. He will walk 2 steps. Again, he will fall down. In this situation, he comes and then he hears Kritadyuti speaking something. So Kritadyuti says, Aho vidhatas tava atiba alisho. Aho vidhatas tvamativa balisho. Yastu atmasrishti apratirupamihase. He says, Aho vidhata. Oh God. She does not know who is God. But he says, if at all you exist, Tvam ativa balisho, you are an inexperienced chota bacha. Oh God, you are an inexperienced little child. Why? Because the rules that you have made in this world when you did Srishti, apratirupam ihase. Apratirupa means you are acting contradictory to what you have done. The father should die first and then the child should die. And just see how just some days back this child was born. And just some days back the child was born and the child is already dead now. Do you have intelligence? Do you understand what is right and what is wrong? Tumko buddhi nahi hai, tumko God banaya kisne? In this way she is saying. So first point is that dvesha of these other queens, it destroyed their intelligence and they did something that actually harmed the family, that actually harmed the child, that actually harmed their husband. And now see what is the result of their harming the son and their husband, that the wife who was very happy because she had given birth to a child is now speaking wrong words against even the Supreme Lord. So in this way, when envy spoils our minds, we don't understand what is right and we don't understand what is wrong, and we end up doing something which is even unthinkable. अरे ऐसा थोड़ी कर सकते हैं, छोटे बच्चे को थोड़ी मार सकते हैं. And who are these girls? Who are these females? These females are not some ordinary females. They are all coming from respectable royal families, and that's why they could get married to Chitraketu Maharaj. One time when Srila Prabhupada disciple, he had come from America and he was saying, this is 10 years back, he was saying in one of the newspapers, it was printed that, there is a city called Las Vegas. So Las Vegas is very famous for having gambling dens and all that. So if anybody wants to do any sinful activities, then they go to Las Vegas. So he was saying that, the mood of gambling is so prominent in Las Vegas that in one hospital, they found out that in one particular ward, anybody who would get admitted, that patient would never get healthy. For a year or so, they observed. And they were thinking, aisa kaisa ho gaya? So then they monitored with the help of a CCTV camera. So what would happen is, because the mood in Las Vegas is that of gambling, the nurses in the hospital were doing gambling. And one of the nurses would say, Kai, ha 20 numberचा patient टिकणार आहे का? And the other nurse would say, मला नाही वाटत हा टिकणार आहे. Because, after some time, you don't look at the patient like a live person. You don't look at the patient like a person who has undergone a lot of pain. He has a wife, he has a child. And if this patient dies, then what about the family? The family also dies in one sense. After some time, as doctors also, we may become very insensitive. So they were saying in Las Vegas, because that mood is very prominent, these two nurses would do betting. And the nurse who would say, "Mala nahi watat ha tiknar hai, hata janar hai," and actually the patient would recover. The patient is improving, but this nurse would, because she wanted to win money, because winning is very important. So she would take out the life support system, and the patient would die. And this was discovered, and then this nurse was heavily punished. But why am I mentioning this is because when we become greedy, when we become envious, we lose our intelligence. And in today's world, all these qualities like non-envy, all these qualities like soft-heartedness, they are never discussed. Nobody talks about all these qualities. What is important is, are you intelligent? Marks kitne mile aapko? If you stand first in the class, you are the best in the class, but you may be very envious. You may be the most hard-hearted person in the class, and tomorrow when you are sitting in OPD, tomorrow when you are checking your patients, that time, instead of looking at the condition of the patient, you are looking at his wallet. पैसा है क्या इसके पास? अरे इसके शर्ट के 2 बटन भी टूटे हैं. जिसके शर्ट के 2 बटन टूटे, इसके पास कुछ पैसा नहीं रहेगा. So you should dismiss him off. You don't check his files properly. You don't go through his past history properly, and you say, I think your case is very difficult case. कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Be ready to go. And if somebody has golden handcuffs, you say, मालदार लग रहा है. Yes sir. कौन से files है आपके? Files दिखाइए. Okay, let me give my attention to your 2 files. Can you give me 2 days to go through these files? I will go through your history and I will make sure that you live. So this Kritadyuti was poisoned. This Kritadyuti's son was poisoned out of envy. And just see how Kritadyuti in madness is also speaking such ill words against the Supreme Lord. Sometimes it happens, so we have to be very careful. Now, we will go to a place called Sri Rangam. Sri Rangam is a temple town in South India. It is a Vishnu temple. It is not a place like Varanasi. Varanasi is a place where Lord Shiva's worship is very prominent, but this is a place where Vishnu worship is very prominent. And in Sri Rangam, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited around 500 years back, one time when he visited the temple, he saw that a Brahman, he was in the courtyard of Lord Vishnu's temple. The Lord Vishnu in Sri Rangam is called Ranganath Swami. And he's sleeping on Sheshanag. And Lakshmi Devi is massaging his legs. This is the main murti in Ranganath Swami temple. This murti was worshipped by Lord Ramchandra himself. When he was in Ayodhya, in his Vansha, this was a deity that was worshipped by Lord Ramchandra himself. So this deity is now in Sri Rangam. Because after the war, Vibhishan, when he was leaving from Ayodhya, after Ramchandra was coronated in Ayodhya, then Vibhishan said, "Chalo abhi, aapne to mujhe raja bana diya Lanka ka, to mujhe to jana padega. So how will I remember you? And I will die in separation from you." So then Lord Ramchandra, he gave the family deity to him, and he said, "You take." And then Vibhishan was taking this deity, and then deity stayed back in Srirangam. So in this Srirangam temple campus, one Brahman is reading the Bhagavad Gita. And as he's reading the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Chaitanya sees there are some other Brahmins who are also Vaishnavas. They are not followers of Lord Shiva, they are not followers of Lord Goddess Durga, or they are not ordinary people, they are well educated Vaishnavas. And this person, obviously, he is in Ranganath Swami temple and he is trying to read the Bhagavad Gita. So when a Brahman is reading the Bhagavad Gita, why are other Brahmanas who are also Vaishnavas laughing on him? When one base resident is worshipping Shri Shri Radha Gopinath's photograph in the base, why are other Vaishnavas laughing on him? When one devotee is struggling to chant Hare Krishna, and although he is feeling sleepy, but he is fighting and he is not going inside to sleep, and he is struggling, Hare Krishna, but he is getting up, बैठ के तो नींद आ रही है, चलो मैं उठ के जपा करता हूँ. And again he is so sleepy, he has not slept at night, he had night duty, but he wants to chant his rounds in the morning, and when he's standing he is falling asleep. Hare Krishna. And then everyone is laughing at him. So why are the devotees laughing on somebody who is struggling to chant Hare Krishna? Why are some devotees laughing on some devotee who is struggling to worship Radha Gopinath? But sometimes in this world, unfortunately, such kind of things happen. Then Lord Chaitanya saw something which really touched his heart. What did he see? Lord Chaitanya saw that this Brahman who was trying to read the Bhagavad Gita and people were laughing on him, he had the Bhagavad Gita upside down in his hands. And this really surprised Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then when he came close to this Brahman, because he wanted to find out, एक वैष्णव के ऊपर दूसरे वैष्णव क्यों हंस रहे? Vaishnavas, they don't even laugh on atheists. So why is this Vaishnav becoming the object of ridicule of other Vaishnavas? So he came close to this devotee, and to his biggest surprise, he found out this Vaishnav had tears in his eyes. आंखों से अश्रुधार बह रही थी. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not control himself and he said, I need to find out this point. So he asked this Brahman, hey Brahman, why are these people laughing on you? And then he says, विप्र कहे मूर्ख आमी शब्दार्थ न जानी, शुद्ध शुद्ध गीता पढ़ी गुरु आज्ञा मानी. विप्र कहे मूर्ख आमी. The Brahman said, actually I am a fool. Shabdartha na jani. I cannot read properly, so I cannot read the Sanskrit words and I cannot understand the meaning of the words properly. But my Guru Maharaj told me, you should read the Bhagavad Gita every day. So, Shuddha Ashuddha Gita Padi Guru Agya Mani. I am just obeying the order of my spiritual master. Sometimes I don't even know which side of the book is upside down. So in today's times now, we have printing technology. So our Bhagavad Gita as it is by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, it has a picture of Krishna driving the chariot on the top page, front page. But 500 years back, there was no printing technology. So at that time, if you wanted a Bhagavad Gita, nobody is going to print a picture of Krishna on that book. So it was just letters and, Kala Akshar Bhais Barabar, they say in Hindi. So he did not even understand, am I holding the book upside down? And seeing this, some other Vaishnavas were laughing on him. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood this. But then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I didn't understand one thing. What is that? If you cannot understand which side is upside down, if you cannot understand the direction of the letters, how come there are tears in your eyes? How is it possible that there are tears in your eyes? And this Brahman said, actually, whenever I hold the Gita in my hands, then I'm thinking, how amazing is this, that the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is worshipped by all the Devatas. And every time Brahmaji goes and prays to Lord Vishnu, many times he does not even get darshan of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu just gives him an Akashvani. Okay, I will appear. and you can help me if you want. And this Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, is becoming the charioteer of his devotee. And during the war of Mahabharat, when Arjun wanted to make the chariot go in the left direction, then he will kick the backside of Krishna with his left foot because there is no time to talk. And when he wants the chariot to go right side, then he will touch the back of Lord Krishna with his right foot. And this is the indication that you go in the right direction. How can Lord Krishna be like this? So thinking like this, there are tears in my eyes. What did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced this devotee and said, all these other Vaishnavas who are reading the Gita, they know, they are Sakshar, they are literate. But he said, they have not understood the Gita. Actually, you have understood the Gita. Why? Because first is, you are unmoved by the criticism of others. बाकी लोग आपका हंसी मजाक उड़ा रहे हैं, उससे आपको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. गुरु महाराज ने बोला है भगवत गीता रोज पढ़नी है तो पढ़नी है, लोग हंसने दो, लोग मेरा तिरस्कार करने दो, कुछ भी करने दो. And because you are sincerely following the orders of your Guru Maharaj and you are unmoved by the criticism of people around you, just see, you have understood the essence of Gita, that how loving is Krishna towards his devotees, how Krishna is Achyuta. Krishna may have this fault and Krishna may have that fault, which are actually not faults, but sometimes people see them as faults. But he will never ever fail in protecting his devotees. So you have understood this. So how did this Brahman come to this high stage that he understood the essence of the Gita? And who is certifying this? Who is certifying this? It is not that any person on the street came to this Brahman and said, "Arey, tumko Gita samajh mein aa gayi." This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna himself, and not only is Krishna himself, he is in the mood of a devotee, so he understands Bhakti Bhav. Bhakti asliyat mein kya hai, wo Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ko malum hai. And he is saying, you have really understood the Gita means that's the biggest certificate that you can get from anybody. Imagine, Srila Prabhupada comes to the base and he looks at one of our devotees and says, you are a true devotee, you are a real devotee. That's the end of everything. हो गया, खत्म हो गया, उसके आगे अभी क्या करना है? प्रभुपाद ने certificate दे दिया, you are a true devotee. He knows who is a devotee more than anybody else. So we see here how in the association of great souls, Kritadyuti and the other wives, they did not have association of great souls. So even though they came from royal families, they had good culture, they had good Sanskriti, but still they did not go ahead. And here we see how this Brahman is illiterate. This Brahman cannot understand what side the letter is up and down, but just because he's associating with a great soul in the form of his Agya. So sometimes we may not be even fortunate to associate with a great soul on a physical level, but are we following the instructions of a great soul? So sometimes devotees ask, Prabhuji, ye 16 mala ka kahan se aaya number? Who decided this? Where is it mentioned in the Gita, 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra? No, it is not mentioned in the Gita. This is decided by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said 16 rounds means 25,000 holy names. So एक दिन में 25,000 बार आप हरि नाम कर लेना. And you engage in seva. Because Prabhupada understood we don't have so much goodness in us that whole day we will sit and chant Hare Krishna. So he said 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and you do practical seva to please the Lord. You do your studies in the mood of service to the Lord. You do your job in the mood of the service of the Lord. In this way you will become Krishna conscious. So we don't have to use our brains. If we follow the orders of a pure devotee, we can actually develop pure Krishna consciousness, just like this Brahman, just by following the orders of a guru. And in one sense, he's incapable, but he's just following it, and Krishna empowered, seeing his sincerity in the heart. So why do people behave in this way? So this is a shloka from the 10th canto, 4th chapter, and shloka number 27. This is a description of Kamsa. So कैसे कम्स कैसा है उसके लिए डिस्क्रिप्शन में आता है. So this shloka describes शोक हर्ष भय द्वेष लोभ मोह मदान्विता Mitho gnantam na pashyanti bhavair bhavam prithak drisha. Translation: persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with material qualities like lamentation, jubilation. हम लोग हर्ष शोक के बारे में बोल रहे थे, तो यहाँ पे वही हर्ष शोक आया, jubilation and lamentation both. Fear, envy, greed, illusion and madness. The co-wives of Kritadyuti behaved in madness. Now the shloka translation is saying they are influenced by the immediate cause which they are busy counteracting, because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead. So why do people behave in a mad way? The horizon of their vision, the horizon of their knowledge is very limited. कहां तक उनको दुनिया दिखती है? They can see only till limited place. So when somebody troubles them, they feel ये व्यक्ति मेरा दुश्मन है, ये व्यक्ति मुझे तकलीफ दे रहा है. Actually, what is the real cause? The real cause is I must have done something wrong. I must have had some wrong karma, and because I have some wrong karma, the reaction that is supposed to come to me is coming back to me through this person. So one devotee, one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, when he was undergoing some difficulties and he came to Srila Prabhupada, his name is Peter Barwash. This Peter Barwash is an international tennis coach. On Google, after the class, you can search for Peter Barwash. So this Peter Barwash, he came to Srila Prabhupada and he was complaining, there is a lot of backbiting in my profession and people play games and this and that. He was speaking many things. So what did Srila Prabhupada say? Srila Prabhupada said, don't blame the instrument of your karma. So hearing this one line, this Peter Barwash immediately understood, I'm complaining, but why are these things happening in my life? Because it's my karma. Some of you, you go to a restaurant and then you order some dish and somebody who is with you also orders a dish. तो एक दो लोग रहते हैं तो 2 या 3 डिश मंगाते हैं. What if there are 20 people? So if you go to a birthday party and there are 20 people in that birthday party, and when you go to the restaurant and you ask for something, I can guarantee to you, whenever you went to a birthday party in a restaurant, when the dishes come, there is always some discussion. अरे ये मंगाया था क्या हमने? मैंने तो नहीं मंगाया, तूने मंगाया, तूने भी नहीं मंगाया, किसने मंगाया? And then one person in the 20 people will say, अरे ये मैंने मंगाया. ऐसे अच्छा तूने मंगाया क्या? वही हम लोग सोच रहे थे किसने मंगाया. Always it happens, is it not? So similarly, when we can forget the dish that we had ordered, similarly, can we forget the action that we did? Can we forget the sinful activity that we did? Can we forget the harm that we caused to somebody in the past? Some of you, if you have traveled by air, if you have traveled by an airplane, then the baggage that you have needs to be deposited in the airport and they put it in the plane. And in the plane, you don't carry the baggage. Just like you put the baggage below your seat in the train, in the plane, you don't put it like that. And then you get down and at one particular place, you can collect your baggage. So sometimes you feel, अरे मैं तो पूरा खाली हाथ ही आया था, ये बैगेज कहाँ से आया? अरे भैया आपने ये बैगेज डिपॉजिट किया हो पहले एयरपोर्ट पे, आपके ही नाम लिखा है उसके ऊपर और आपके पीछे पीछे उसी प्लेन में आ रहा था, अभी आपके हाथ में दे दिया उन्होंने. This is your baggage. Similarly, in the previous life, we had some karma and then we deposited that karma and then we thought we have lost that karma, but that karma was traveling with us from one life to another life, just like that baggage travels from one airport to another airport, and in the next airport that baggage again comes back to us. So in this shloka, this is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.4.27, it is mentioned that actually people who have a limited vision, actually people who just see the immediate cause, they will be affected by jubilation, lamentation, fear, anger, envy, greed, and in this way they will have ups and downs, and because they will have ups and downs, their life will never be stable. So what is the solution mentioned? The solution mentioned is you have to think about the remote cause. When you see a drone that is flying in the sky, and that drone is, I had been to one function, and that drone was going too close. On the roof there was a cloth. ऐसा पंडाल जब भी लगाते हैं तो ऊपर कपड़ा लगाते हैं, and the drone has a fan. 4 fans are there on a drone. So when the drone goes too much up, sometimes that cloth gets cut by the fan blades of the drone, and then the drone, the fans will get caught up there, and then the drone will crash. So when I was looking at a drone going up, immediately when I saw that this will lead to a disaster, I was not looking in the upward direction, I was looking in the downward direction, and I was scanning for the person on the ground who was operating that drone. So अगर वो ड्रोन बहुत ऊपर जा रहा है तो वो आदमी को बोलना पड़ेगा, अरे ड्रोन को नीचे करो. ड्रोन को बोल के कुछ फायदा नहीं है. Similarly in life, when we understand the remote cause of everything is the Supreme Lord, nothing can happen without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. It helps us a lot in overcoming our problems, in overcoming our grief. So we cannot stop rain from falling on us, but we can have an umbrella. We cannot stop the cold season from becoming too cold, but we can have a sweater. Similarly, we cannot prevent problems from happening in our life, but we can have the right consciousness when problems happen. That nahi, ye mera hi kiya dharaya hai. Maybe I misbehaved with somebody, maybe I insulted somebody, and that's why I'm getting it in return. But now, again, if I retaliate, again, if I create bad karma, again, I will be insulted again. So let me keep quiet and let me see this from a higher perspective. This is for my purification. जो मेरे जिंदगी में आज गलत हो रहा है, let me see it from another perspective. Let me see what life as a teacher is trying to teach me through this situation. तो जिंदगी कुछ सिखा रही है क्या मुझे? आज जो ये घटना हो रही है मेरे जीवन में, इसमें से मुझे कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है क्या? Wise people in the association of great souls, they learn this perspective in life. And now I'll tell you the last incident, which is similar to Kritadyuti's incident. Vasudev and Devaki, they got married, and on the day of marriage there was an Akashvani. The 8th child of Devaki will become your enemy. And then Vasudev and Devaki were house arrest. घर में ही उनके बाहर guards वगैरह लगा दिए. So the 7th child, till 6 children, all the children were killed by Kamsa. What happened to the 7th child? The 7th child was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Who was the 7th child of Devaki? Anybody knows? Okay. The 7th child of Devaki was Balramji. So the child was conceived in the womb of Devaki, but at one point of time, the womb was transferred, the embryo, the child was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. And then later, the 8th child was conceived, and that was Krishna. So just like Balramji is always in a service mood, Balramji entered the womb of Devaki to make sure that the womb of Devaki is ready for Krishna. When the king comes to a particular hotel, or when the prime minister of the country comes to a particular hotel, then before the prime minister comes, the security guards will come to the hotel and check if the hotel is safe for the prime minister. Similarly, Balramji, he checked in a service mood if everything is proper for the Supreme Lord to appear in the womb of Devaki. But the point that we want to focus is, Rohini and Devaki are co-wives of the same husband, Vasudeva. And now also something has happened, that Devaki has got 6 children, one after another, and they were killed. And now again Devaki has a child, and that child, instead of being killed, has been transferred by the will of the Lord to Rohini's womb. So again, a similar situation is there, just like Kritadyuti and the other wives. That Kritadyuti became more fortunate than the other wives. She got a child, and that's why they became so envious that they poisoned. What about Devaki? Every child of Devaki has been killed till now, and the 7th child, before she could even give birth to the child, it was already transferred. So Devaki felt that it was a miscarriage. But Devaki saw that she had a miscarriage. She got that feeling that she had a miscarriage, but she also saw that Rohini became pregnant, and Rohini is a co-wife. तो कृतद्युति और उनके बाकी के पत्नी जो थे, और इस सिचुएशन में क्या बड़ा अंतर है? Kritadyuti's co-wives became envious of Kritadyuti because she had a child and they did not have a child. Devaki had a child. It is not that she did not have a child. She had a child and she lost the child. That's a bigger pain. And then she sees her co-wife is pregnant. How much more Devaki should have been envious of Rohini. But the most interesting thing is Devaki was not at all envious of Rohini. She has already seen 6 children dead. She also did not complain any time. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? मेरे ही बच्चे क्यों मारे जा रहे हैं? मेरा ही भाई क्यों मार रहा है? ये सब मेरे साथ ही क्यों हो रहा है? मेरी ही शादी के दिन ऐसे आकाशवाणी क्यों हुई? We never hear of an Akashvani like this happening at anybody else's marriage. Devaki is saying no. If the Akashvani is happening, it is happening in a special way. Akashvani कोई साधारण व्यक्ति नहीं कर सकता. So देवता कर रहे हैं. So it is part of the plan. 6 children getting killed at the hands of her own brother. It's part of a plan. The 7th child, she is conceiving a 7th child and it is getting transferred to Rohini's womb. It's part of a great plan. So if it is a part of a great plan, as it was announced on the day of the marriage, that the Supreme Lord will appear as my 8th child and he will free the entire world from all burden. ये पृथ्वी के ऊपर गलत शासकों का बहुत बड़ा भार है. जरासंध is there, Jayadratha is there, Kamsa is there, Shishupal is there. All these people need to be eliminated. Who will come? The Supreme Lord will come. Where will he come? He'll appear in my womb. How do you know? It was announced. So it was announced that the 8th child will appear in her womb. But was it announced that 6 children will be killed? No. Was it announced that there will be a miscarriage of the 7th child? No. Can you think Devaki's situation? Only the good news was revealed to her in the Akashvani. The so-called bad news was not revealed to her. For us, even when good news is not revealed, the Devatas have not come to us and told us, you are that fortunate person. Still, we unknowingly expect that all good things should happen in my life. अरे देवकी को तो बता दिया था देवताओं ने कि तुम वो भाग्यवान महिला हो जिसके गर्भ से भगवान आने वाले हैं, पूर्ण पुरुषोत्तम भगवान आने वाले हैं. So when she has this supreme good news, and after that when things like this happen, that her 6 children are killed, can you imagine how many complaints she can have against the Supreme Lord? Kritadyuti is saying, अहो विधाता स्वम अतीव बालिशो. ए विधाता, तुम तो छोटे बच्चे के समान हो, तुमको समझ में नहीं आता है छोटे बच्चे को मारना है पिताजी के पहले, ये तो गलत काम किया तुमने. What about Devaki? Devaki should have spoken this 6 times, 7 times. But Devaki is focusing not on the immediate cause. Devaki is focusing on the remote cause. ये जो छोटी मोटी घटनाएं हमारे जीवन में होती रहती हैं वो तो होंगी, लेकिन रिमोट कॉज क्या है? रिमोट कॉज इज द रियल कॉज. द रियल कॉज इज द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड. सो इफ द सुप्रीम लॉर्ड इज गोइंग टू अपीयर इन माय वूम, द 8th चाइल्ड इज गोइंग टू अपीयर इन माय वूम, आई हैव टू बी रेडी. आज शाम को मेरे घर में कोई बड़े व्यक्ति आने वाले हैं. आज सुबह से मेरे घर को क्लीन करना पड़ेगा. If some great personality is coming to the base in the evening, we have to keep the base clean. If every day we don't keep it clean, that is not good. But on the day when some persons come, at least on that day we should keep it clean. We struggle with our sadhana on every day, but especially on the day when somebody comes, we should not struggle in our sadhana. We should put more efforts in that sadhana. Why? Because that is an expression of our enthusiasm. That is an expression of our respect. Respect is not only expressed by offering namaskar. Respect is offered, respect is expressed by being willing to accept some discomfort for pleasing that person. That is real respect. So Devaki is saying, 6 बच्चे मेरे मारे गए, 7वां बच्चा मेरा miscarriage हो गया. That is not important. These immediate incidents are not important. What is important is that the Supreme Lord has already been predicted to appear in my womb. And 8th child will be very auspicious. And that 8th child will not only be auspicious for me, but that 8th child will be auspicious for the whole world. And because Devaki underwent this kind of intense treatment, today we can have the darshan of Radha Gopinath, and today we can look at the sweet forms of Radha Gopinath, and we can say, प्रभु जी वाह वाह वाह, ये श्री कृष्ण भगवान कितने मीठे भगवान है, क्या बांसुरी बजाते हैं, क्या गीता बोलते हैं. लेकिन भगवान को गीता बोलने के लिए और भगवान को बांसुरी बजाने के लिए Devaki had to pass through the test where Kritadyuti failed. So unless we really practice Sadachar, unless we really practice freedom from envy, greed, anger, lamentation, jubilation, we will not progress in devotional service. साल साल बीत जाएंगे लेकिन हमारी प्रगति नहीं होगी, और वो प्रगति करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? We will have to take the association of senior devotees seriously. And as I have 1,000 times mentioned, taking association of devotees is not sitting next to him. Taking association of devotees is interacting with that person and getting more deeper understanding of the Vaishnava Siddhanta. What is life? Who is the Supreme Lord? How to understand how the Supreme Lord is merciful in my life or not merciful in my life. If you look at the life of Devaki, it seems that Devaki had not received the mercy of the Lord, क्योंकि जो भी गलत होना चाहिए था सब गलत हो गया. शादी के दिन उसको जेल में डाल दिया, 6 बच्चों को उसकी आंखों के सामने मार दिया, 7वें का मिसकैरेज हो गया. But when the 8th child came, her fortune was revealed to the entire world. Similarly, if we are like the Brahmani Sri Rangam, then people may laugh on us, but if we stay true to the orders of Guru, and if we try to follow the orders of the Guru, one day the Supreme Lord himself recognizes us and congratulates us and tells us, you have understood the meaning. So this is something that we wanted to discuss today. Can anybody summarize a few points that we discussed from the beginning? You can just mention any point that you liked. If you can mention it in a sequence, that is really great. But I know it's difficult to remember in a sequence. So any point you like, you can just unmute and speak.
While doing any daily activity, we have to focus on only one activity at a time, not multiple
Okay.
activities.
Okay.
Prabhuji, you first started by mentioning what is humility. It is not just to speak softly, but what I liked is that you should roar, but you should not put yourself in the center, but in the background. And then you mentioned what is honesty, that you should speak the truth, but you should not hurt others, and you should speak truth in such a way that it purifies the atmosphere.
It uplifts others.
It uplifts others.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else?
Take a responsibility what happening in our life.
Very nice. Thank you.
Prabhuji, that great person's life is a source of great knowledge.
Yes. Yes, because great people have knowledge and they apply that knowledge. That's why they become great. So application knowledge will come from the lives of great souls. Only knowledge will come from books, but how to apply that knowledge will come only from the lives of great souls. Yes, anybody else?
The ornament of Vaishnavas are his qualities.
Yes, are his good qualities. That is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so thankful to all of you. I hope, Pranay, have we prepared a feast today?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you for preparing a feast. And whenever there is a weekly program, even if it is online, we should have a feast. Let all the devotees have nice prasad, and let us all of us chant the names of Shri Radha Gopinath by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram,
Hare.
Ram, Hare Hare.
So tomorrow is Ekadashi. If possible, please chant with more attention, with more prayerful attitude. And if possible, you can chant more rounds than you chant every day. You can increase the quantity and quality both. And the Supreme Lord will be really more merciful on Ekadashi tomorrow. Okay. So we'll stop here. It's 8:26. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope we discuss something that will benefit you in your life, and it will make you more aware of what are our responsibilities and how not to be affected by so many small things that keep happening in our life. Thank you very much. जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत
जय।
कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय,
Jai
जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल,
Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्ण।